Hey, Supersonic, Steve Stefanik at your service. Hey, I'm up here in the Santa Cruz Mountains near Redwood Grove, and I'm going to be answering a question today. You know, I had the honor to meet with a 23-year-old young business professional, very successful in his own right. And he asked me a question at the end of the conversation that was really thought-provoking. He said, what advice would you give a 23-year-old? And, you know, I'm about 35 years difference with this gentleman, and it made me think. So what advice would you give a 23-year-old at your age right now? Stay tuned for my answers. All right, so how would you answer that question? What advice would you give a 23-year-old? And as I said, I pondered that for a moment and had some silence on the phone, and then I finally said, okay, there's three areas that kind of come to mind. And again, this is just one man's opinion. Your opinion may be completely different. But one is, I had some lessons early on in life about learning, and there's three levels of learning. One is called being familiar. Like, that's the surface level of things, right? I'm familiar with this, I'm familiar with that, right? But I don't have any depth, right? Then the second level of learning is understanding. You know, I've done some coursework in this. I've maybe even done a little of the practices of it. Like, I've been out in the world doing it. But the reality is that's just a little deeper. That's that mediocre, that's that mid-tier, right? It's usually something we're excited about, but we're not willing to totally commit. But the third level is the advice. It's embody your work, embody things. That means that you take it in such a deep way. Like, you're in the practice of it all the time. The mindset, the energy, the practices, the routine actually turns it into you. Embodiment means I am it. So the advice for this young man was, hey, embody the things that are important to you. Don't live on the surface level. Don't go halfway deep. Go down. So over your lifetime, the more you can embody, the greater wisdom you can receive. The second area, and I thought this was a powerful one as well, find and mimic your success pattern. Find and mimic your success pattern. You know, we're all unique beings. We all have unique ways of looking at the world and performing in the world. And as an executive coach or a life coach, I work with people and I find those patterns in the world where I know they've been successful, where they're the happiest, where life just hums, right? And we all have them. And unfortunately, our standards of our society says you need to be this way or that way. But we're all unique. We're all different. And that's the unique gift that we can each bring to this planet. So find and mimic your success pattern. Find those places where you've been successful. You know, that means that you know how to create the big why. You also know how to keep the mindset. You also know how to participate in the practices. You know how to recruit others to support you. You know how to learn there, like the energy's high. You know how to overcome challenges there. And of course, you know how to stay in it. Right? When we can find and mimic our success patterns, we're most alive there, and we're willing to push through anything and everything to get that done. A very important part of life. And one of the areas that he mentioned about his life is he's an Ironman. He's participated in 2 Ironman. You know, in order to participate at that level, right, that is a success pattern. And I said, you can apply that to your life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That was what my last video was about. That's very important, to find those places in your life that you've been very successful. Take those practices, take those mindsets, take the big why, and move it into the rest of your life. That's how you can be successful. The third area is to understand people. And I think, you know, we're in a global economy now. When I was growing up, you know, the company was as large as it got, or the school was as large as my perspective was, or even just the neighborhood as a kid, right? And we never thought about what was on the other side of the ocean. And now we are living in the Silicon Valley, and the Silicon Valley provides us such an opportunity to really understand people. And yet we're not spending a lot of time to really understand people. We're so in our own focus, our own world. So the advice for this young man is to understand these 3 things. 1, understand yourself. You're uniquely made. What is that? How do you show up? Own that. Own that. The second is to really look from a biological point of view, how to understand both masculine and feminine, or male and female. Like, we're always going to be encountering males and females, masculine and feminine. How do you work effectively with that energy? It is so fundamental that, you know, they sometimes cross. But at the same time, I think it can be very, very powerful. So understand the masculine and feminine side of life. And then third is really understand the cultural differences. And there's a lot of great teachings out now because of the influence of the global economy. But get out there and read some books. But over the next 10 years, can you imagine if you could fully understand the global economy from a cultural point of view, from a people point of view, from how you uniquely fit into that? So understanding people is the third one. So 10 years from now, you'll think about this and you go, as a 23 to 30-year-old, right? How can he be more effective in the world? Well, from my point of view, those 3 points are it. Supersonic Steve Stefanik at your service. Hey, I'd love to answer questions. And it's just one man's opinion. But if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments, and maybe I'll do a video about that. Thank you very much for participating. Have a great day. Adios.